Welcome to Slow News Day Live. My name is Steve Poikinen. I am here in beautiful Boulder Creek, California, where the flannel shirt is our state flag, the pit bull is our state bird, and cannabis is our state flower. I am going to check real quick to see if my volume or if my sound is all right. Do I sound okay? Hello. There we go. All right. I got to make sure, man. Sometimes you guys know, sometimes my computer decides to make me sound like an interdimensional chipmunk or some shit. All right, what's happening, y'all? So I don't know. I know Karen Mitchell. Hi, Karen. I know Karen caught the Free Assange vigil the other night, but I'm not sure who else did. So I would like to kind of go over some of the stuff that happened with WikiLeaks over the last week. First and foremost being that the DNC had this massive lawsuit where they were suing WikiLeaks and Julian Assange and the Russian Federation and like everybody they could throw a fucking stick at. Over interference in the 2016 election. And that particular lawsuit got dismissed this week. The judge, who was a Clinton appointed judge, whether or not that makes a difference, whatever. But Judge Koeltl cited the Pentagon Papers in the case, citing that there couldn't be liability for the publication of stolen materials. The entire suit was dismissed, quote, with prejudice. The only qualm that I have with this suit is that it really does go out of its way to kind of like misdirect and pin it on Russia. But you take the good news for WikiLeaks because it is good news for WikiLeaks, especially in light of a decade-long smear campaign against them. So I definitely wanted to highlight that. There's a couple of great lines in here, and I'm going to try to find it. You stupid laptop. By the way, if anybody has any questions or anything like that, please shoot them at me. Here's the quote from the judge, and this is how it relates to the charges against Julian Assange as put forth by the Trump administration in the extradition order that came out a few months ago. If you remember, when the extradition charge, when the charges against Julian Assange were released, there was such a blatant, broad, vicious attack on the First Amendment and how it applies to journalists and publishers that even Rachel goddamn Maddow went on TV to be like, hey, these are really egregious charges, these particular First Amendment charges. She then went on to continue to smear and assassinate the character of Julian Assange, because that's what these motherfuckers have to do in order to, I don't know, sleep at night. But as it relates to the First Amendment, according to the judge who dismissed this lawsuit, quote, if WikiLeaks could be held liable for publishing documents concerning the DNC's political, financial, and voter engagement strategies simply because the DNC labels them secret and trade secrets, then so could any newspaper or other media outlet. No shit. That's what we've been saying. That's also the point. Trump administration, like the Obama administration, is stacked full of fucking full-on and proto-fascists. And silencing dissent is something that you have to do when you're losing control of the narrative. An organization like WikiLeaks exists to attack that narrative. So anything that they can do to make sure that an organization like that doesn't exist, whether it's going on a decades-long smear campaign against the publisher, or strengthening the punishments for whistleblowers, or like Barack Obama ramping up the prosecution of whistleblowers. These things are going to happen. I once again, I don't know if you caught the stream the other week, but we did denote that just a few days ago, July 30th, was dedicated by the Senate as National Whistleblower Appreciation Day, which is one of the bigger trolls that the U.S. Senate has been able to perpetrate on the United States of America. But overall, very, very positive for WikiLeaks there. Stoked to see that. If you are not regularly watching the Free Assange Vigil series, that's something that's co-hosted by myself, by the founders of the Action for Assange, I don't know, I guess decentralized organization, Andrew Smith and Taylor Hudak, and Christy Dopp, who is one of the people who runs the Unity for J Twitter page, which was suspended the very week that the UK was holding their press freedom appreciation week. So absolutely wonderful people. I'm really glad we're doing that. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock on their channel, we'll be hanging out with Ron Placone. He'll be our guest. We have coming up on the 7th of August, Wednesday, guests will include Tim Canova and Adam Kokesh, and I believe Nick Brana. So that'll be interesting as fuck. Coming up this week, I am hoping to, and am pretty sure that it will happen, interview Whitney Webb again. The third part of her Epstein series drops this week, and I am very much looking forward to having her back on, so that was there a new WikiLeaks out? No, huh? No, sorry, Quinn. I haven't done an update on WikiLeaks on this channel in a while, so I was trying to get that out. There, I did see right before I hopped on here, and through an organization called Wise Up Action and Julian Assange Defense Committee there, and we'll be talking about this on the Vigil more tomorrow. They put out an open call and an open letter to journalists in the UK. This is something that we've talked about more than once on the show, and definitely in the Vigil series. There is not enough public pressure being put journalists, or even people at your local level and your local and community papers. Yes, I know that they're probably owned by Rupert Murdoch, but these are people that, you know, you can run into them at the grocery store. So we don't have enough pressure being put on writers, publishers, journalists to step up and take a stand for Julian Assange. And this is another step in the right direction for that. So props to Wise Up Action for that. I'm going to retweet the link and the information to it, or if you're not on the Twitters, you can go to wiseupaction.info and you should be able to find it there. I did just cover the DNC lawsuit being dropped, Quinn. But yeah, we're all, you know, we're having a good time talking about that on the Vigil. Julian Assange's lawyer did meet with members of Australia's parliament. Um, she gave a very long briefing on his current situation. Nils Melzer has released several letters to the rest of the Five Eyes countries and Ecuador, imploring them to put pressure on the United States to drop extradition charges. We are ramping up our own decentralized activism. We are also trying to do some bigger things that I would totally fucking jinx if I said them out loud right now. So I'm not going to do that. Yeah, okay. Let's talk about mass shootings for a minute. I think they confirmed 19 died, I think, so far. I can check here real quick. 20 people so far have been killed at an El Paso Walmart. There are a lot of conflicting, of course, eyewitness reports and reports coming out. What we do know is that they caught a 21-year-old kid. I don't even know if I should say his name because that's supposed to give fucking some kind of weird ass power over the fucking shooter. But he's a 21-year-old white kid. There was a pretty thorough manifesto to accompany it. They found pictures almost immediately on his Facebook page, and he had the word Trump spelled out in guns. He was clear about Hispanic invasion. The Christchurch shooter had a manifesto that called out, I believe, specifically Donald Trump, but also cited like Candace Owens and a couple of people. I want you guys to do me a favor at some point. You should look at that picture of the recent mass shooters who are all, white dudes. They all kind of have the same fucking haircut, or the majority of them, and they have this really batshit crazy look in their eyes. More often than not, once they're behind bars for a little bit of time, they all have the same story about being out of their mind or seemingly being out of their body while this was going on. They don't have much memory of the event at all. They all talk about like hearing a voice or hearing God or some shit like that. And man, it's really hard to believe the official narrative on this every single time. There's one of the dads of the Parkland school shooting was in El Paso today to do some kind of like mural or some shit. Like the insane amount of coincidences that just pile up around these things. And there were police reports initially that there were multiple shooters. They have one shooter. Nobody else died. Yes, Quinn, that's what I'm saying. Ms. Tree, who is a regular viewer of this show and comments, she left a comment on I think it was a live stream this morning that I did with Jules that was fucking tragic for the first half and awesome for the second half. She said something about it, and I said, well, yeah, it's not just mega normal, it's MK Ultra mega normal. And there's just, without even getting into whether or not these are staged or hoaxes or whatever, dude, like 20 people dead's 20 people dead. And that's fucking, the fact that it is regular, the fact that we see this a lot, the fact that it's typically almost always the same kid or a version of the same kid with the same story who's doing it for the same basic reasons that just happen to coincide with a fucking racist thing that Trump said or a racist bill that's being passed. While we're giving the CIA blanket immunity through legislation, while we're fucking passing anti-BDS legislation, while we're writing blank checks to Israel, while we're fucking bombing and fucking we're ramping up the expansion of empire and engaging in illegal coups currently in Honduras and Nicaragua, as well as Venezuela. We haven't fucking left there yet. We got an insane out-of-hand right-wing government that we helped install in Brazil, who's personally going after Glenn fucking Greenwald for blowing the whistle on their fucking embezzlement scandal. It seems to me that in a country where there's an entire generation of people who have been programmed at the altar of their own laptop, to where we've got so much documentation on how a kid's brain is developing and how basing their life on the occasional hits of dopamine that they get from likes or clicks or reactions, even negative reactions, the ability to program kids to fucking blank out and go commit mass murder and live stream it like they're in a fucking video game, like it is a video game. If you see the footage of that shit from the shooter's point of view, it all looks like a first-person shooter video game. The Christchurch stuff especially, which maybe some of that shit was digitally manipulated. I don't fucking know. I wasn't there. But it's treated like a fucking video game. It is absolutely insane. Yes, Debbie Lewis was the fucking shit, dude. I miss Sane Progressive too. They got to that woman. And whatever they did worked because she was targeted. She would talk about it. You could watch in real time her being fucked with. And I don't know if she got discouraged and left, or I don't know if she was encouraged and left. But long live Debbie, and I hope she is happy wherever she is, and I hope she is safe wherever she is, and I hope that she's got a sense of peace, man, because what happened to her was really fucked up, straight up. That's about where I feel on the mass shootings. I will be I'll be 100%. I mean, you guys have watched the show. You know how I feel about guns. You know how I feel about disarmament. I don't believe the answer is to we've got to stop all these white supremacists shooting people. Is let's make sure that the only people who get to have guns or get to tell you who to have guns are the white supremacist cops and the white supremacist military and the white supremacist government. Like, that doesn't make fucking sense to me. We live under inverted totalitarianism. We live in late stage capitalism. We live in a gig economy. We live where people are fucking just under pressure all the time, and it only takes that fucking one final thing to make somebody snap in reality, in real time, and without the help of some sort of nefarious fucking force encouraging violent behavior in order to achieve an agenda. Without examining the root causes of this problem, without taking a very hard look at exploitive capitalism, without looking at the the fact that we traded our kids' ability to learn through how we teach them in school and how we live our own lives, any measure of sustainability that doesn't exist outside of, oh fuck, I need to go to the grocery store. Like, that's part of it too. We have all the information in the world, but having access to it has been presented as being enough, and following through with it and learning a skill or learning how to fucking repair a piece of equipment, or encouraging not using fucking single-use objects, growing your own food, knowing how to build yourself a shelter or survive when the fucking power's out, for that goddamn matter. We're losing that. Oh, bye, Jilly. We don't teach that. That's not a part of what our institutions are. And if you encourage that, you are somewhat painted as a fucking right-wing nut job for asking for some sustainability in your school and a little less time, on fucking teaching the test. There's an argument to be made about why everybody shit all over Common Core. There's an argument to be made about the 50+ year war on education that we've had, that has dumbed everybody down, discouraged independent thought, kept people away from knowledge because of their socioeconomic status. All of that shit is 100% intentional. Yeah, about like before I even had kids, and I totally fucking ignored the advice, but somebody told me way back in the day the most punk rock thing I could do would be to get a vasectomy, because I would be opting to remove any lineage I may have contributed to society. And you know what, dude, I love my fucking children, and I'm not gonna say I should have taken them up on that. I did have children. I feel really fucked up, not about my decision to have children, but about presenting my view of the world to them as a view outside of the narrative, and then they have to turn around and go to school and confront all of that indoctrination, knowing what they know in their own head. It's weird. I don't know, it's weird on a lot of levels. It really is. U.S. citizens are fully educated to defend legal transparency. Yeah, you know what? Free. Thank you for stopping by the chat. Welcome aboard, man. Good to see you. We're always going to speak on behalf of Julian Assange, because he can't speak for himself. We're gonna speak on behalf of, or for, with Chelsea Manning, because she's up to like $36,000 or $37,000 in punitive fines right now, and is still in jail for the quote unquote crime of not walking into a perjury trap. It's important, again, because there aren't enough people that are willing to step up and do that. So I'm going to circle back to that letter writing campaign that Wise Up Action has put together. And I would encourage all of you, and we talked about this on a couple of the vigils, to look out and see if there's a press club, like a local or statewide or national press club that has an office, the closest one to you, and write them a polite please letter, asking them to put out a statement on behalf of Julian Assange and Wikileaks. And then when they send you some bullshit back, or they ghost you, you can then put them on blast and drag them through the fucking weeds. But please be nice initially, because some of them may fucking do it. Oh, for anyone in the state of California that is watching and listening, On Labor Day Monday, there is going to be an action in Nancy Pelosi's neighborhood, and is being organized by friend of the show, John Michael Williams, who is a teacher and an activist, and he's going to run for Kamala Harris's Senate seat in 2022. And Seema Hernandez, I believe, is going to be a part of that too. Seema is also a candidate. If you're not familiar with her, she's out of Texas. She's running against John Koeltl, who, ironically, a week before the shooting today in El Paso, tweeted out that for every one white boy or baby that is born in the great state of Texas, there are 9 Hispanics. And wiping out the Mexican race or Hispanic race was part of this kid's manifesto. It really seems like it's part of a fucking agenda, and it really seems like the end goal of that agenda is to dictate which specific white supremacists get to carry all the guns. So yeah, so was California. California was once part of Mexico too. In fact, I'm pretty sure most of the West Coast was once part of Mexico. We oh, where was I headed with that? Oh, I guess I was gonna do some Epstein follow-up ahead of Whitney Webb coming on. So there's this came out a few days ago. There's going to be 1 million pages of discovery in the Epstein trial. The defense is trying to, of course, delay this thing. I don't know whether that's to ensure that Jeffrey Epstein doesn't make it to trial, or to make sure that they've got another operation or another, his leg of the operation under control and up and running. Oh, that's right. This all has to do. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Gloria Allred, but Gloria Allred is a pretty famous attorney. She's very good friends of the Clinton family, and she's one of the people who are taking Epstein to court over this. The Southern District of New York, that court that filed the initial charges against him just the other month, one of the prosecutors in that division is James Comey's daughter. I don't think Bill Clinton will be investigated to the level that any of us want him to be investigated. I do think that with 1 million pages of discovery, that there's going to be plenty of people that can go down. We've also got a lawsuit going against Ghislaine Maxwell, who Robert Maxwell, Mossad agent, fucking financier, was her father. He was one of the people, along with Roy Cohn, that was Epstein's groomer. Ghislaine Maxwell is Jeffrey Epstein's pimp or fucking bottom bitch or whatever you want to call her. She went out and she fucking grabbed, programmed, conned, convinced, paid these children to come and fucking be raped, abused, and otherwise tormented by grown-ass men. That's straight up what happened. We know from the flight logs that Bill Clinton was on that plane 26 times. He's come out and been like, it was only 4. You know, fuck you, Bill Clinton, you goddamn pedophile motherfucker. I don't know to the level at which they will be able to prosecute him. I would imagine that people with a little less pull, because Henry Kissinger's in that book, Barbara Walters is in that book, fucking there's a picture of Ghislaine Maxwell, the fucking bottom bitch pimp, fuck that, at Chelsea Clinton's wedding. Whitney Webb isn't wrong when she's saying that this is an international sex trafficking organization that goes back almost 100 years at this point, and it involves some of the most, if not the most powerful people on the planet. There's ties to the Saudis. There's ties, lots of ties to Mossad and the Israeli government. At least one prime minister, if not 2 or 3. I don't know, Chris. I don't know if there's a tape of HRC and Huma. I don't know. I don't. Look, the crazy, rich, powerful elites in this country are fucking like by either power, blackmail, or the love of sport, fucking swingers as fuck. At least half of the time, their kids don't end up looking like them at all. And there's actual proof that they came out of the mother. Sam Tripoli likes to make the joke that Barbara Bush's vagina is just basically a portal for lizard people. And like, look, it doesn't, it wouldn't surprise me. What would surprise me is at like pushing 70, they would still want to orgy it up. But I guess maybe if, you know, you're high on that fucking adrenochrome and kitty blood, who knows? Who knows? France didn't stop the use of the guillotine until 1970. That's fucking awesome. Shit. Did I want to go anywhere? Oh, yeah, there's that whole thing about Jeffrey Epstein wanting to fucking have his DNA seed the planet. I don't know if you guys have heard this or not, but this is an article out of the New York Times. Jeffrey Epstein, over the years, confided to scientists and others about his scheme. According to 4 people familiar with his thinking, although there is no evidence that it came to fruition, the scheme was he wanted to seed the human race with his DNA by impregnating women at his vast New Mexico ranch. This goes into some wild, not the New York Times article, but the Kurzweil fucking straight up transhumanist shit over here. It's you gotta wonder at, like, is there a dollar amount or I am soulless enough of a human being to consider this a good idea, like, level that you have to get to where you start thinking like, I'm going to incorporate my personal DNA and some AI and that's going to be the future of the world, and it's going to come from me. I am fucking patient human zero for the brave. Like, what kind of fucking, you have to like directly inject hubris. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's just fucking insane. Yes, Huma Abedin is Anthony Weiner's ex-wife now. She was, I believe, Hillary Clinton's like chief of staff or camp or fucking like basically personal assistant. Tony Carlson and Highlands. Right, right. Yeah, no, yeah, the fucking really horrific thing about Jeffrey Epstein wanting to seed the planet with his DNA is I don't think that he would have them like artificially injected. I think he would try to get in on that process himself, and that's pretty sick fucking, that's a pretty sick fucking concept right there. Epstein hosted lunches at Harvard's program for evolutionary dynamics. I did not know that Harvard had a program for evolutionary dynamics. I know that the company General Dynamics is trying to merge with Raytheon. Wow. But yeah, basically Jeffrey Epstein was a fucking, or still is a fucking wild narcissistic eugenicist. And yeah, I hope the worst possible things happen to him. I do. And I hope they happen in daylight, in public. I hope it's not one of those, oh, he fell down some stairs when no one was looking things. Um, I hope Alan Dershowitz gets rolled up in it too, because that guy's creepy as fuck. Um, but the amount of people that knew the guy, the amount of different places, organizations, institutions like Interlochen, an entire school for poor gifted kids where he had his own personal fucking quarters and residence, shit like that. The amount of influence that this guy had and his money had, that doesn't just go away when he goes away. We need something better than a corrupt legal system to take care of this. And I don't know what that system is, because I'm not going to sit on this fucking channel and advocate vigilante justice. I'm not going to do it. I'm already shadow banned enough everywhere else. I don't need somebody fucking pulling up into the yard right now. That's not going to happen. But we need something better than what we have. There's just no fucking way around it. If you're looking at baseball scores, Chris Walker, can you tell me how my Cubs are doing? So, okay, maybe because you're in Canada and it's not that big a like the Epstein thing isn't there. It's not happening, I mean, I'm sure there's a, pedophile sex trafficking network throughout Canada. How could there not be? There is pretty much everywhere else. But when I bring it up, the majority of people that I bring it up to, and these are people, basically like working class, they have opinions about some things, and they're not 100% mainstream, but I mean, it's Boulder Creek, dude. It's, you know, a mountain town of like hippies, loggers, and fucking outlaws, and now tech fucking gentrifiers. Uh, and the tech gentrifiers know that Jeffrey Epstein is Donald Trump's best friend, and that's all they know, and that's all they care to know, and that's all they need to know. And if you bring up Bill Clinton, then you're Russian. So I don't really talk to them about it. You know, I talk to people who if they're engaged in the process, it's because they aren't doing it to own the libs, or they aren't doing it to own the fucking right wingers. Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't. Actually, you know what? As a parent, I do understand why a lot of people just tune out when they hear shit like that, because it's the most horrific thing you can imagine happening to your child. And in order to consider the fact that there might be, in reality, is a global network of fucking powerful people who use children for fucking blackmail and pleasure, like, to consider that it is a lot for a lot of people. And there's a lot of people who would prefer to just tune out when something like that happens, or roll their eyes and think of how, you know, oh, that must be awful, I'm glad it's not happening here. Do they really? Does Canada really cover Trump in the squad? Not, yeah. Well, I guess, I mean, dude, if we had a mayor like Rob Ford, we would be covering him nonstop. And I don't think Rob Ford is alive anymore, so that's a bad example. But you know, the last fucking mayor that we caught smoking crack was a long ass time ago, and people still make jokes about that. David Dinkins. Okay, but I didn't ask about Bud Selig. I asked about the Cubs. Doug Ford is the one that's still alive. That's absolutely right. I do want to touch on something real quick that I talked about very, very briefly during the live stream this morning, but because of the technical difficulties, I don't know if it got through all the way. We are ramping up the disclosure, the military is. If you go to like the Defense Times or the Army's website, or the one I'm looking at right now is the Air Force magazine, the disclosure on field tested prototypes for direct energy weapons have really ramped up lately. And the direct energy weapons, yay Cubbies, the direct energy weapons have become almost like front and center in all of the new tech and military rollouts. And I live in an area of California that, while we personally have been spared by most of the wildfires, we are not immune to that, and we are very not close in location, but in kinship to the town of Paradise. There's a lot of people that went up there when the last housing crash happened. You know, lots of families, very, like, you know, similar in you know, areas and like mentality and people. What you get what I'm getting at. Wildfires. Oh, and of course the stream starts to buffer when I mention direct energy weapons. Wildfires don't cause steel bridges to melt. Wildfires don't cause green trees to be right here and the rims of a car to be melted onto the ground. There's conventional wisdom in the conspiracy community, and I will get to what I'm closing with. with that. That the people who are perpetrating these offenses for the control of the population, for the control of the resources, there's the prevailing wisdom is that they have to announce in some way their intent. That look, we're doing these things, and you can't say we didn't tell you because we did. Yeah, we did a show, Karen, pretty early on. I think it was like the second or third or so episode of Slow News Day ever. And we got in pretty deep on direct energy weapons because we live right by a Lockheed facility, because you can go onto their website and you can watch a demonstration of a direct energy weapon being fired from a fucking drone. I think the episode is called "Chicken People Make Bad Robots." I think that's the name of the episode. If you're putting barium and aluminum and some degree of sulfur dioxide into the air and it lands on flammable stuff, then yeah, it's probably going to accelerate the rate at which it burns. I would imagine that. Yes, the Debbie that's being referred to is Saint Progressive Debbie Ludegarden. So a leaked document came out the other day, and it is for it was directed to like all law enforcement agencies and whatnot, and it is titled, put it in the description when we're done here. I guess I could do that now. But it's titled "Anti-Government, Identity-Based, and Fringe Political Conspiracy Theories Very Likely Motivate Some Domestic Extremists to Commit Criminal, Sometimes Violent Activity." So what this is doing, what this document does, it basically puts out in black and white what everyone who has been involved in countering the narrative or receptive to information outside of the narrative has been saying for years. If you talk about this stuff, you're on a fucking list. I was on a list before I started this show, so meh. I haven't tried to fly internationally in a while. I don't know what would happen if I did. I'm not going to try to anytime soon. I believe I watched the last one of, I don't know if it was Debbie's last live stream or one of the last, but I think it might have been the last. So here's the thing. In this document, which is absolutely hilarious, if not horrifying, if not Lil column A, Lil column B, the document breaks down in the typical totally fucking square FBI way what they think a conspiracy theorist is. It says this intelligence bulletin draws upon a wide body of reporting derived from other law enforcement agencies, open source information, documentary sources, human source reporting with varying degrees of access, and FBI investigations from January 2008 to January 2019. What they don't tell you right away, and what you have to look in the fine print, is their open source information is Snopes and Wikipedia for a lot of this shit. The FBI is citing Snopes in a fucking directorate to law enforcement agencies to warn them to identify and track and monitor people who engage in conspiracy theories. They go through a bunch of examples of what happened, or the course of their investigations. The FBI assesses in some cases anti-government identity-based and French political conspiracy theories very likely encourage the targeting of specific peoples, places, and organizations, thereby increasing the risk of extremist violence against such targets. This assessment is based on several incidents where individuals threatened, assaulted, or plotted to attack entities they perceived as being linked to or involved with an alleged conspiracy. And they go through a lot of these where they talk about the guy that shot up the Comet Ping Pong. They bring up Sandy Hook. They bring up mosque attack plots and things of that nature. And I think we even found out that the guy who was going to blow up the mosque in Tennessee said he was personally recruited and asked to do that by the FBI. They don't mention that in their report. I know that was the case of the Los Angeles airport bomber. Here we go. This is a great quote. This is a quote that I have that's the screen for this episode. According to the FBI, a conspiracy theory is an attempt to explain events or circumstances as a result of a group of actors working in secret to benefit themselves at the expense of others. Conspiracy theories typically allege wrongdoing by powerful others, for example, public officials, business executives, scientists, or societally marginalized groups, for example, Muslims or Jews, and are most prevalent among individuals with extreme political views. While a conspiracy theory refers to an allegation that may or may not be true, a conspiracy is a true casual chain of events. I love that phrase, a casual chain of events. We casually decided that the Gulf of Tonkin needed to happen. We casually decided that we had to overthrow the democratically elected government of pick a South American or Southeast Asian country. Those were casual chains of events. Real conspiracies, I'm back to the quote now, real conspiracies involving illegal, anti-democratic, or harmful activities by high-level government officials and political elites have been exposed in the past, and it has been argued that such plots have encouraged conspiracism in society. Well fucking done. E Clampus Vitus, Quinn, it is a historical society that I am a member of. We put up plaques for sometimes cool things that happen on the spot, sometimes absolute failures of human ingenuity. The plaque that is across the street from the studio where I shoot the podcast for the Swamp House that dedicates the whorehouse that used to be the original footprint of the building where I shoot the show. That's an E Clampus Vitus plaque. Yeah, ECV, E Clampus Vitus. There's probably, I guarantee you, there's clampers in the Joaquin Valley, in San Joaquin Valley. I guarantee you. Bunch of fucking drunks in red shirts, most of them fucking hilarious group of guys, and also history dorks. I built my first historical monument last weekend. That's why I couldn't do a Saturday show. I did like a 4.5 foot high, I believe, by a foot at the top and about 2.5, 3 feet at the bottom, about 4 feet wide. did all the aggregate concrete for that, and I'd never done a vertical build with aggregate concrete before, so that was kind of cool. Anywho, yes, that's where we are. There will probably be another clamper sticker or two. Anytime you see me on the show and I'm wearing a red shirt, that is it probably has something to do with eclampsitis on it. Back to the FBI report though. Where's my page? Oh, they go through a couple of the types of prominent anti-government identity-based and French political conspiracies. The first one they mention is the New World Order. A group of international elites controls governments, industry, and media organizations, instigate major wars, carries out secret staged events, and manipulates economies with the goal of establishing global rule. Now, if you were to, according to the FBI, if you were to talk to somebody about that and say, hey, I think that it's a little weird how the United States only goes to wars that don't have central banks that are Rothschildian in existence. Making that observation would have you, according to this, you would be allowed to be considered a suspect for extremist activity. The UN is being used by an evil global cabal to erode American sovereignty, strip away individual liberties, and bring foreign troops to American soil in order to replace democracy with global tyranny. I don't know if they got to bring foreign troops in. Maybe, but to circle back to what we were talking about with the direct energy weapons, there's two odd things that correlate with the two big fires that we had up in California, North North California over the last couple of years. The campfire in Paradise, and then the one that was up over in Redding and through Humboldt County. Not only was it directly in line, including the fires down in Malibu, with the proposed path for California high-speed rail. That includes Santa Rosa as well. The car fire, yes. But 2AT falls in line with what Agenda 21 is supposed to do, what Bill Cooper talked about fucking 30 years ago in Behold a Pale Horse, what Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars talks about, and all of those things, according to the FBI here, put you on that fucking list. The identity-based conspiracies that they identified are the Zionist-occupied government. Jewish agents secretly control the governments of Western states and are conspiring to achieve world domination. Oh, my camera fucking moved. Oh well, I'm still here. Anywho, and the second one is Islamburg, the small Muslim community near Hancock, New York, known as Islamburg, is a terrorist training camp. Its residents, who pose as peaceful Muslims, are in fact Islamic radicals operating in a sleeper cell. I don't know if you guys remember that or not. This was a little while ago where that was kind of big, but I think a couple of different guys were arrested because they were going to go shoot up Islamburg. The fringe political conspiracies they identify as Pizzagate, QAnon, which I think it's really interesting that they target QAnon in this, because there's nothing that's more obviously an intelligence operation to me than QAnon. But it does go to the point that I've been making about QAnon, and that is it's a psyop that is designed to attract these people who would become active, and it's designed to string them along so they don't become active. It's designed to bring in people who would be hacktivists and either monitor them, flip them, or incarcerate them. Both the Pizzagate and the QAnon fringe political conspiracies center around child sex trafficking. What the fuck do we have going on right goddamn now but Jeffrey fucking Epstein arrested? We've got his fucking bottom bitch who's apparently in the wind right now. An big fucking child acting coach in Hollywood just got arrested for the exact same fucking thing. R. Kelly disappeared. Did you know R. Kelly disappeared? Does anybody know if R. Kelly is turned back up? Because they said they were transporting him from Chicago to New York, right? And he vanished. If anybody knows where R. Kelly is, fucking let me know, because that's weird as shit. Yes, Jilly Love, war is a racket. You are 100% correct on that. All the love to your cousin, Quinn. You don't know if you believe the R. Kelly stuff? There's a video of him peeing on a 15-year-old girl, and you don't believe the R. Kelly stuff? He's got songs about grooming these kids. Like, everybody, I don't know. Dave Chappelle makes a great point when he says that it's really hard to, like, rectify in your head that that dude is the same dude that wrote I Believe I Can Fly. But I get it, man. I get it. Tulsi in all white. Tulsi does look good in all white, man. Fucking, she is a beautiful lady. She's got it going on. That's for sure. Yeah, and still, that is not an endorsement for president of the United States. You know what, man? She said some weird shit about Medicare for All. She said that Medicare for All would interfere with union members' ability to have the health care that they have grown to love. And I personally think that that is just a giant bullshit argument, because if you're a union member, and I tweeted this out earlier, if you're a union member and you have Medicare for All, you don't have to see any of your paycheck going towards your medical benefits. You can collectively bargain for a living wage, and management can't come back to you with the excuse, we're paying your medical bills, because they will no longer be paying your medical bills. Sarah Palin, yeah, she did say that, Karen. It was in an interview. I think it might even have been this morning. If not this morning, then yesterday. That's not pandering for the old people vote, though, man. Old people aren't active members of a union, or wouldn't be going, oh, maybe my healthcare plan would change. You know, that's going directly against Medicare for All, basically, which just became part of the Democratic Party platform and just picked up a majority of sponsors. The Medicare for All bill just picked up a majority of sponsors in the Democratic House. Yeah, there's, if you've watched the show at all, you've heard me voice concerns about Tulsi Gabbard and her the whole thing about being a hawk on terror is one of those things that really concerns me. Being a hawk on terror, in my mind, at least to a degree, involves believing the intelligence community reports. And we have seen too many times that those intelligence reports are fabricated out of whole cloth or twisted just enough to suit and enact an agenda. And I don't have a lot of faith in somebody's ability to enact any kind of anti-empirical agenda who is going to look at an organization like the CIA and go, yeah, I'm going to take this report at face value. Oh shit, Al Qaeda's here. We must better fucking bomb this place. Like, it doesn't sit with me. Right. I do think that there needs to be an anti-war message out in the public sphere. You're absolutely right about that, Quinn. I'm not going to argue with that. I don't know if the arbiter of that anti-war message should be somebody who is a, quote, hawk on terror. But we're not really getting it anywhere else except for maybe Marianne Williamson, and that fucking lunatic has seized both sides on Julian Assange, and that's all I need to fucking know. There's no seeing both sides on Julian Assange. You're right, Chris. Tulsi and Bernie aren't trying to get shot. Go full progressive, get you shot. Yeah, it's not just 7 bad votes either, Jilly. It's Tulsi Gabbard's a political person, whether or not she wants to present herself as that. She's a very, you can tell, like, her debate performance, what I saw of it was one of the best planned, best executed debate performances that I've seen in a long time. Kamala Harris apparently spent 3 months waiting to set up Joe Biden on that busing thing, and in my mind, she blew it. She fucking blew it, because not only did she walk back her fucking comment the very next day, but fucking she wasn't getting bussed from Oakland to Berkeley. Her parents, she grew up. Here's Oakland, here's Berkeley. She grew up here. It's not a bad neighborhood here. She got on the bus at the end of the bus ride. Fucking her big setup and sprung trap was a half truth. Tulsi Gabbard got to walk in, lay some facts out, and get smeared as a Putin puppet and an Assad apologist, and it was Russia's fault that the hashtag Kamala destroyed started trending. That's how that went down. Google is not the only institution that is manipulating search results about Tulsi. I got a couple of different messages today from people who were telling me that they're experiencing ridiculous amounts of shadow banning for putting positive comments about Tulsi Gabbard on their social media. And these are people who are like borderline influencers, if not actual Twitter influencers, and they're getting the fuck shadow banned out of them. They can look at their analytics, they can look at where their reach is, and they can fucking tell. Today at her meeting, she was asked about doing the bidding of Israel. She said she'd be America first. Well, that's all well and good, but there are a lot of days where it's really hard to tell whether or not we're Israel's client state or if they're ours. Andrew Yang is not truly big. You hear average people in your community talking about Andrew Yang because Andrew Yang goes out and he says $1,000, $1,000, $1,000 enough times to where it registers in people's heads, and they go, yeah, I could probably do with $1,000, and that's where they stop. I was on Niall Elkham's show today. I did a panel about the debates, which was funny because I watched like 17 total minutes of the debates, like both of them put together, 17 total fucking minutes. But I was on a panel about it. So the point that I made about Andrew Yang, because somebody likened him to a used car salesman, and I said, "Ow, I don't know about that." To me, because I've had experience with this job, he seems like the boss at a multi-level marketing scheme, business to business, fucking sales outfit. I don't know. I don't know if you guys have ever been in that position. There was a winter that I spent around the Beltway of DC. I put on a fucking suit every day, and I went to this like warehouse out in Germantown, Maryland. I was staying in Rockville. Germantown is like the next town over, and then the Beltway is about 10 minutes south. And so we go to this warehouse, and we would load up. We would seriously, like, almost like frat house cultish behavior. There's fucking like motivational chants and clappings and fucking people like high-fiving each other around in a circle, and the whole thing is to get out there and sell this garbage shit. I sold stuffed Clifford the dog toys. I sold knockoff fucking like Rolex, well, not Rolexes, but they weren't that nice, but like knockoff fucking watches. I sold fucking like cookware and all kinds of crazy shit. But you would go into a business, and all those signs that say no soliciting on every business, that's what you do. You walk in and solicit, and that's it. I did that for not 3 months. It was just a winter. It was like 2 months. And winter to me was time not working Renaissance festivals. It usually lasted for like total of like 6 to 10 weeks. Yeah, in a suit. Yeah, straight up. And no, I do not have any pictures of that. I'll tell you what, I will ask my kid's mom in New Hampshire if she has any pics from that. It was a really fucking weird gig. And then the following year, I was in Colorado, and I got a fucking job selling framed artwork, business to business. And we would roll in, and that ended up being all right, dude. Like, I made enough money to get out of town doing that. We ended up decorating a couple of ski lodges and shit. There will be pictures of me in a suit here very soon, because my wife's baby brother is getting married here in a couple of weeks, and his fiance comes from a very wealthy family, so they're having this black tie only fucking wedding at some place up in like Napa or Sonoma, and I'm gonna be really goddamn out of place, but I'm going to be in as fine a wear as humanly possible. But my whole point to all that is that Andrew Yang reminds me of this boss that I had at the multi-level marketing fucking thing. His name was Arun Nanjapa. And Arun had Andrew Yang's smile. He had Andrew Yang's delivery. And he had Andrew Yang's way of always bringing it back around to the pitch. And that's what Andrew Yang's debate performances are to me. He doesn't interact with anybody. Nobody interacts with him. What he does is he tells you about the product that he has. And he tries as hard as he can to put the product in your hand. And if he can't do it metaphorically, if he can't do it physically, he wants you to make a kind of like connection with it that seems tactile, so that you remember that he's the $1,000 a month guy. I hate getting dressed for fancy parties too. I can't fucking believe I have to do this shit, but it's goddamn family. So that's what you do. I'm going to put on the suit for like a few fucking hours. I'm going to have clothes to drive home in. Believe that. My wife is the same way. She is not looking forward to this. Her fucking her sorry ass is at another friend of ours bachelorette party right now. It was supposed to be a couple of days in Tahoe. It turned into like 15 chicks in a one fucking Airbnb that has 10 bedrooms in South Lake Tahoe for 5 days. And I cannot imagine the layers of hell that they are all putting each other through. I just, woo, glad it ain't me. But man, that's going to be another occasion where I'm going to have to take off my comfortable clothes and put on uncomfortable clothes and go stand around with other people who are also wearing uncomfortable clothes, and their outlet is going to be the open bar there, and I don't drink anymore, so I gotta fucking find some place to go off and smoke pot like a third-class goddamn citizen, even though it's fucking legal. Jeez, hacking pins. You sold what? Oh, kids. Oh, okay. Okay. You did one of those like uh oh, believe that I will eat an edible or two during that wedding. Believe that. I just, in case you haven't noticed, I smoke a lot. And I'm pretty sure that the place that we're going to go to in Napa is going to be like, you can't smoke anywhere on this property. So I'm going to have like a vape pen or fucking something. Um, yeah, that's what, yeah, sponsor a kid in Africa. We found out that UNICEF and AFSCME and the fucking Susan Sarandon thing were just all giant fucking scams. I still, I have to put together a show about, or a series about, NGOs and organizations like that are just giant fucking intelligence community fronts. Um, That's fucking, yeah, that's insane. But yeah, I don't know if you've ever been involved in a multi-level marketing fucking Ponzi scheme kind of thing or not. But if you have, maybe you can pick up what I'm putting down about Andrew Yang. It was fucking hilarious being on a panel about debates that I didn't exactly watch. I'm glad that I'm familiar enough with the situation, and I'm glad that that I was able to steer the conversation, kind of more towards points that I would make on this show, um, because it's never about the debate; it's about what happens immediately afterwards. And what happened immediately after this one was a massive, like, brand new ramped up smear campaign against Tulsi Gabbard. And Kamala Harris's numbers in the polls actually went down. She was the only candidate to come out of the debates with her polls going down. Yeah, so I came out early, very early, upon hearing Andrew Yang saying, yeah, this guy's full of shit. And here's why, and here's what his UBI is going to do. And this is the UBI that he's advocating. And if you're not advocating UBI along with regular cost of living increases or some sort of job guarantee, then all you're doing is enacting a Cato Institute fucking pipe dream. Like, this shit goes back to like John Birch Society and stuff like that. There's no end to how dangerous unaccompanied standalone universal basic income is, because you can really trap people inside a debt cycle that's even worse than what people accuse our current welfare state of being. Good night, Jilly. I found out recently, and I think I might have mentioned this on the show, that one of my sister's like childhood best friends, she grew up to be, I don't know if she's a part of the board or just real high up in Airbnb, but she's real high up in Airbnb. And she left that, she took a leave of absence from that job to go work on Pete Buttigieg's campaign. And I don't know if it's the Indiana connection that made her do it, or if being that wealthy that quick through Airbnb just put her directly in the neoliberal bubble. But Mayor fucking CIA Pete, he's a fucking snake oil salesman, because he's fucking, like, they were trying to call Beto O'Rourke the white Obama. Pete Buttigieg is the rainbow Obama, you know, and if you criticize him, it's a hate crime. I mean, he fucking, there's a level of protection to a degree that he enjoys more so than even Kamala Harris or Cory Booker or Elizabeth Warren, just for the facts that they're like, you know, sort of black here and there, or a woman in general. I think that a lot of Andrew Yang's support started out artificial, and because he had such a good bot game, people started to talk about him a little bit more. Yeah, I know that Lil Nas X turned down CIAP. I know that. I think that the Old Town Road thing is a testament to just how fucking horrible our entire music industry is at this point, because everybody has covered the exact same song, and that song sucks. So Yang did get the Joe Rogan push. Tulsi Gabbard should have got more of a bump off of that Joe Rogan interview than she did. Hey, what do you guys know about Bo of the Fifth Column? Somebody told me I should reach out to him and invite him on the show. I don't know much about that dude. I haven't really checked him out. Uncle Joe Bad Touch. That's fucking hilarious. How long have I been talking? Okay, I will check out that channel. Yell Bro, are they Canadians? My favorite Canadians are the dudes from Grimerica, hands down. I love those guys. They're rad. don't know if you guys are familiar with Grimerica or not, but they're a 100% total conspiracy show, and they're a little bit further to the right than I would like them to be. But I also harbor this delusion that one day I will be on their show and I will talk them out of their right-wing leaning ideology and welcome them into the loving, wonderful, accepting, oddly sculpted for 41 who doesn't join a gym arms of anarcho-capitalist or anarcho-communism. Wow, I didn't even do the dab yet, and I fucked that one all up. Yeah, anywho, I think I'm about to wrap it up, y'all. If you have any questions, go ahead and shoot them. I don't know who E. Michael Jones is at all. And I gotta be honest with you, man. It takes a lot to like shock or offend me. So it's not that like I'll look away if somebody's being a little bigoted. I'll have some words maybe after the fact, or I'll have some opinions on it, but I don't really like. I guess you would put it as like I'm not like an easily like triggered person. Yeah, I mean, yeah, bigotry bothers me, but I not to the point to where I will immediately walk away from something. I don't know who E. Michael Jones is. I honestly, and you can hate me for this if you want to. I typically give comedians a little bit more of a pass until I find out that they themselves are active and open bigots. I think there's a difference between a well-constructed joke. Good night, Karen. Thank you for watching. And somebody committing hate speech. So I don't know. I don't. But yeah, I mean, I guess in general, like it really takes a lot for me to be like, wow. Yeah, I guess I'll leave it with that. He's a Catholic enthusiast. What is a Catholic enthusiast? Like, you steady rocking a rosary or something? He fucking has a genuflection habit. I don't know. He's stoked on being a Catholic. I tried watching that praying medic Q guy a couple of times. That dude was wild. He's probably still wild. I don't know. All right, folks. Well, thanks so much for hanging out tonight. This has been Slow News Day. Okay, so here's the deal. I guess I'll close on this. I would like to be able to have guests back on my show without me having to go to the studio. In order for me to do that, I'm going to have to pay a lot of money to have higher internet. I may start a Patreon and fucking try and get some of it that way. That would come with additional content. It would probably come with I guess merch at some point. But I would like to up the quality of the show. I would like to keep the show rolling. And in order to do that, I may have to go for some listener support. I'm going to feel really weird about that, but it's probably going to happen. So I will leave you on that. And until next time, I'm Steve Boykinen, and good luck to us all.